Welcome to Name the Show with Taylor Hughes. I'm so excited because this is a very, very special episode where not only do I get to have one of my best pals in the entire world, the guy that I want to hang out with when we're not doing shows. When I'm not on the road, we're getting sushi. And late at night, when we're both done with our shows, we're brainstorming the next show that we're both going to do. I'm so excited to have a dear, dear friend and collaborator and the director of my new solo show, The Last Sermon. Give it up for Chipper Lowell.
Yay!
This is where we cut in. This is applause. No, we're not going to cut in applause, but people will applaud in their cars while they're driving.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, take the hands off the steering wheel. Great.
You are very rustic looking. For those that are watching on YouTube right now, you're in a cabin in the woods.
I'm in the Ted Bundy luxury apartment, somewhere in the woods, writing my manifest.
I was going to say it's like a manifesto vibe right here.
It really does. Yeah, I'm doing shows in Lake Tahoe, a 2-week run, and I've got my final show tonight. And it's always a blast. Tahoe is one of my absolute favorite places to work, and I've been here for over 30 something years, back and forth between my other tour dates. But I always love to come back here, and friends in town, friends in Reno, and the shows are great. Yeah, it's really fun.
So good, so good. You've
I
been
know you love
crushing
it.
it. Say it again.
I said I know you love it too because you also come to the theater here in Tahoe.
Yeah, it's funny as we have a couple mutual places that you and I are kind of passing like ships in the night going to sometimes.
Correct.
And I think you would agree with this. You know, I love that spot because when I'm getting ready to go on the road and I want to put in new things into the act, I'll go do it 20 times in a week and a half up in Tahoe.
Yeah. For those that don't know, when you and I are doing our separate shows touring, and we're usually doing shows for theaters anywhere from 500, 2,500 people. Right. Tahoe has this beautiful little intimate theater that seats 110 people. Yeah. And it is great to be trying out new material. You know, yeah, it's really nice. I tried out 3 different new things this time around, and I've still got way too much I have to try out for another show that we'll get to later on. But
well, Chipper, for those of you who are just getting to know him, Chipper has been on every season of the TV show Masters of Illusion. And on every season of that show, you've done at least 2 or 3 brand new effects, brand new routines. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
It ranges from 2 to 3 up to even 5 and 6 appearances on each season. But, you know, I'm horrible at, or I could say I'm really good at procrastination. People would never know. So I need deadlines. And deadlines for me are, oh, you've got another season coming up, which, you know, they're going to be taping in January or February. So I know I have to get something done. And that's the only way that I wind up getting stuff done. A lot of people are like, oh my God, you're doing all that. It's like, no, I literally am like a little kid waiting for someone to tell me a deadline, or I create a deadline for me that I then have to light the fire under my butt. And yeah, so I also tried to create these routines for TV. It's kind of backwards, but I create them for TV to then be able to use them in my live touring show. Yeah. And so when people come see me year after year, they're seeing a good anywhere from 20 to 40% of the show changing up over the time. So yeah, it's fun.
And you are on the road all the time. How many shows a year are you doing on average, Chip?
It really fluctuates. When I was single, I was on the road 10 to 11 months out of the year. Once I got married, then we cut way back to make sure that it was working out with Lisa's schedule and that we wanted to see each other. And now we have a son who is 23 years old. Wow. He's awesome. And he's still living with us. He's high functioning autistic, but he's doing fantastic. He's going to college. And so we really make sure that there's time at home, and they have to sign off on all of my gigs.
Yeah,
we try to make it a very democratic thing of saying, you know, is okay to do this, and yes and no, and so it's really nice in that way.
There's something about giving your partner veto power and just saying, great, at the moment this stops working. My buddy Bob Goff is so sweet. He in every job he's ever had, he writes a letter of resignation to whoever his boss was, and he seals it up in an envelope and gives it to his wife. And he says, at any point that this is out of hand, just mail the letter. How crazy is that?
Well, now that I know that,
Yeah.
I'm just going to write some letters for him and send them out to those places he's working. Just,
Perfect.
and then you can imagine the conversation when he talks to his wife. Hey, what's going on? We had trust.
Right. You
I
know,
think that'd
this
be great.
this is funny about our relationship because I feel like you and I would be buddies if we were truck drivers or, maintenance
Yeah.
workers. We would be buddies no matter what. But there's nothing like being friends with someone who you have a shorthand with because they just get your life. Like, I spent lots of time with Lisa and Ethan, and it's amazing. Lisa, do you want to tell people what Lisa's job was back in the day when you were first dating and all that?
Well,
I'm basically getting to the fact that your whole you understand
all
showbiz
right.
to the core.
All right. Okay, but this is about your show, so we'll get to your
Well,
show.
we'll get to my show, but you're also working on a solo show, if I'm able to say that is about
Yes.
some of this.
Okay, so really quick in a nutshell, Lisa, a professional dancer, Broadway shows, things like that. She was a Radio City Rockette, toured with them for a couple of years. We met on a show in Philadelphia, and we were both getting out of horrible relationships. And I swore I would never date anyone else in show business, and she swore she would never date anyone else in show business. And so, because of that, we became really good friends, knowing we would never date each other.
Yeah.
And then it became like when Harry met Sally, and that immediately blossomed into, including from the movie, kissing on New Year's Eve at the stroke of midnight, and me saying to her, "Well, you want to go out tomorrow?" And then we went on a first date on January 1st. So, yeah, but I know what you're getting at. My background, I'm second generation performer, and my parents were circus performers back in the 50s and 60s. Even before that, my dad was a assistant manager of a vaudeville house when vaudeville was trying to come back in the right around 1950 in New York. Did acting stints. My mom was a dancer and a gymnast, and she was going to be given she got scholarships for gymnastics, but also they were like fast tracking her to be towards the Olympics.
Wow.
And she was like, "Oh no, I don't want that stress. I'm doing this for fun." And then she danced on Ringling Brothers, met my dad on Ringling Brothers Circus. My dad was a professional clown, my mom a dancer. She learned to do aerial acts. She learned how to do Iron Jaw.
Which
And then
describe Iron Jaw for people who haven't, been to the
Iron
circus.
Jaw is being suspended up in the air, a couple stories, and you are literally hanging by your teeth. There is a leather bit that you are biting onto, and your whole weight is supported by your neck and shoulder muscles hanging in the air, and then you're juggling and twirling ribbons and things like that. And so that was our life. That was our normal life. And I grew up in that, thinking that every kid was on a circus traveling. That's what, like, I thought that was,
You just think that's normal.
I thought that was suburbia. I thought that was suburbia. Oh, I'm on this show, but then when we're going over there, there's this other kids and they're on that show, and then they're going to that town. And I thought that's what the entire world, so right now you can think I'm a little touched. So I was, yeah. It was great. I loved it. And then, thankfully, my parents at one point said, "We got to get the kids off the road," my younger brother and I.
Yeah.
And they took the big, giant step, which I'm forever grateful for. And that is to settle down in Anaheim, California. And we still went out on smaller tours and shows and things like that. But I got to then go into a regular junior high and high school and learn what the rest of the world was about. And so I got the best of both worlds. So it was great. Yeah.
It's so wild. You are my buddy that I call when something crazy happens in this business, because I know two things will happen. You'll laugh with me. You would, because Katie and I always say if it's going to be funny later, it should be funny now. Like the quicker we can laugh about the nonsense, the better.
Yes,
And
yes.
you'll laugh with me, but also I know you're not going to be really shocked because you've seen it all.
It's a polite way of saying, hey, you're kind of old. Um,
No. Well, this is
no,
another thing I thought about. This is another thing I thought about too, because you also used to do Disneyland and Wild Bills, and like we'll do another podcast when your show's
yeah,
coming out in the fall,
yeah.
so we can talk about that. Um, but we're not that far apart in age. But when you're younger, like those age gaps seem so much bigger than they are. Like I
Yeah.
remember watching you when
Oh God.
I remember watching you when I was a teenager and being like, holy like seeing you at Wild Bills and just mind blown. And you were like in your
I
20s. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like we're that far apart. It's just
I didn't
crazy.
realize that part, to be honest.
Would you say?
I didn't realize that part, to be honest, that you had seen me in shows when you were
Oh my
growing
gosh.
up and stuff. Oh
Yeah.
my God,
At the
that's so weird.
castle. I saw you at the
That's so
castle
weird.
many times at the castle. As a junior, I saw you.
Magic Castle for those
Magic
people that
Castle.
confuse it with all the other castles around the world.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
Disney's got a couple of castles. I could have seen you there too. But
yeah,
that's the other thing that's fun about this business is that, especially in the world of like comedy and magic, it's where you get to the people that you look up to. Eventually, you become friends and you get to help each other out, and it's pretty
absolutely.
wild.
Absolutely. There are icons in stand-up comedy, and I had a foot in both. I had a foot
Right.
in comedy clubs, stand-up, and then variety comedy magic. And so I got to see pretty much a large amount of my idols growing
Right.
up. And it was surreal, I had a dinner with just three of us, Jerry Seinfeld, Gary Shandling, and myself.
Holy
And I'm
moly.
like, what am I doing here? And the best thing I can take out of that is the fact that they, at the height of their careers,
Yeah. Yeah.
were still thinking that they may not make it and thinking that when they go out on their next tour, it's going to be crap because they don't know where the material is going to come from.
Yeah.
And it was the greatest life lesson of like, oh, we're all doing that thing. We're all
Yeah.
doing the exact same thing. Of going, God, I hope they don't discover the secret that I'm awful at this, even though we're doing these great careers.
Seinfeld said he's the one who I heard say it first about the idea that the people who are in this business are just the ones who wanted to do it more than anything. Like the idea
Yeah.
that I mean, so often in my career, I'll be like, well, this is how I'm doing it. That can't be the way everyone else is doing it. And then you find out, oh, that's how everyone else is doing it. Like it's just you decide I'm going to be in show business, and then you work to have an opportunity to be in show business.
Yeah. And I think the other part of it again is there is this I for little stints in my life,
Yeah.
I have like when our son was 6, 7 years old, I was like, you know what? Just for at least a couple years, maybe I'll go work writing at this really cool uh, advertising company boutique,
Yeah.
and I did. I directed and wrote commercials and also large campaigns, and I hated it. I
Yeah.
hated it because no matter how creative I was, for me personally, I was still behind a desk.
Right.
I was excited if we got to go out on location and shoot, but I was like,
Yeah.
so even when people are like, oh my God, Tahoe, yeah, it would be great. I bet if you work there year round, it'd be absolutely not. I
Yeah.
love the fact that I get to experience it for a short time. I go to
Yes.
experience a different type of theater, a different venue, a different group of people all over the world.
Yeah.
And that's at my age, that's how I kind of base my shows now
Mhm.
is, oh, I haven't done that. I want that experience. Let's go see what that's about.
Yeah.
Oh, that was different, good, bad, but you know what? I got to try it.
Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah.
was.
And there's realizing that it's not like not putting the pressure that every gig's got to be perfect. I mean, I remember when I told
Oh
the
yeah.
family, and you spent time in Branson. I
Yes.
remember when I remember when I told the family, like, hey, do you want to go live at a theme park for 6 weeks? And my kids were like, yeah, we want to go hang out and ride roller coasters and stay in an Airbnb. To them, that sounded awesome. So I was like, okay, great. I'll go do 122 shows in 6 weeks, you know? But do I want to do that all the time? Absolutely not. But gee whiz, man, where else can you get an opportunity to have those kind of memories other than this business?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll go into my Branson experience next time we talk.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. Well,
Oh,
we last night, we finished, not finished, but this show, the last sermon, we are in constant changes and rewrites and
yeah. So for those that don't know, this show went up in, was it December?
yeah,
It
December.
was December at Dynasty Typewriter. It's sold out. We collaborated on it. It's your amazing story. I directed it, and the audience loved it. And I'm up in the booth, to also take care of some other things during the show. And the people running Dynasty Typewriter are there with me, and they're like, "This is great. Where have you guys been doing this?" And I was like, "No, no, this is our first show of this,
Yeah,
and we just got lucky." I mean, seriously, if it was funny to you and I, it was
yeah,
in the script. If it was funny to one of us, we're like, "Nope, nope,
right,
nope, nope."
right.
We really wanted to be authentic. We really wanted it to be sincere.
Yeah.
It's a touchy subject because it's dealing with one's personal journey through religion
Yeah.
and life and things like that. But we wanted to be respectful
Yeah.
at the same time, and also have a light sense of irreverence about it. This is the other thing that I love is that, I know you and I would be like, oh my God, I don't want people to be really upset if we talk about this.
Right.
But we always went back to the core, which was, yeah, but this was the truth.
Right.
This is what actually happened. We're not making up crap. We're literally saying, no, this experience.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the other reason I like it is that we it it's if you're religious, you will get something out of it. If you're atheist, you will get something out of it. If you're it's not being preachy at all.
Right.
It is just talking about your amazing life experience of being a youth minister, youth pastor, and doing that for a huge amount of years, and at a mega church,
Mhm.
and discovering what goes on uh, behind the scenes and everything else. And also at the same time, you were being a professional magician, making money, and what you learned from it, and what you and your wife and your kids went through, professionally, personally, spiritually. And it's fascinating. And I absolutely loved working with you on it. And when we were done, people were asking, when is this playing again? Because
Right.
we didn't get to, it sold out. We want tickets. We want to go.
Right.
And we looked at our schedules and we said, how about 4 months from
Yeah.
now? And so we have been also taking the original script, and
Yeah.
over several meetings, either together or Zoom, we have done additional punch-ups and rewrites, and looking at stuff where we say, you know what, I think we can expand this more because this portion of it is really kind of like so bizarre and unique.
Mhm.
And it's been great. So yeah, we wrapped up on the script and kind of locked it in last night, and we have it coming up in what's the date? It's on a Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, April 30th, back in Los Angeles at Dynasty Typewriter, which, if you
Yeah,
haven't been, is a beautiful, beautiful 185 seat theater. It's gorgeous. And
beautiful theater. It's run beautifully. It's unique, and it's also a place where a lot of people from Sarah Silverman and David Cross, and
yeah,
I mean a who's who of comedy and
yeah,
writers, and Dana Gould and others have presented their shows. Mark Maron,
mhm,
uh, and it kind of tells you the caliber of the performers that are there. And when you first posted that the tickets were now on sale, um, I believe like almost right out of the gate, within a day or two, there were already like 50 or 60 sold.
Yeah,
So
the tickets are
I
going
know
quick. We
that.
still got some left, but if
Yeah,
you're in or around the LA area on April 30th, would love to have you come see the show. It's interesting when we first started. I mean, you and I talked maybe 7 years ago about the idea of this show. This was something that
yeah,
I've been since I stepped away from my job as a full-time pastor to not to do entertainment, but then subsequently became a full-time entertainer. I knew this was a story I wanted to tell. And when we first started talking about collaborating on this and hey, let's, like you mentioned earlier, put a deadline, let's put a date on the calendar. It's going to happen on this, a version of it will happen on this day. What I love
exactly.
is we were very open-handed with it. We said, okay, look, great. If we do this one time, then at least you did the thing you felt like you needed to do. And as we were working through the show and writing it and unpacking some of these stories, there were so many moments where we both were like, "Oh, this is a thing." like this.
This is a thing, and this is better than what we thought it was even going to be.
Yeah.
And oh my God, this is even deeper than we thought it was going to be. Oh my God, it's got this emotional moment here and another one where, yeah, I think, and that's the journey of creativity. That's the journey of you start with something, and is this going to be something? Is it? I think it is.
Right.
Maybe it is. And as you know, being a writer as well, we write, and then we go back to it a day, a week, a month later, and we go, yeah, that's
Yeah.
nothing. Okay, let's work. Let's try this other idea. And I'm talking even from a joke, a concept, a comedy routine, a magic routine within a show itself. Oh, let's try this idea. Let's throw it out. Yeah, and it's real easy for us to get bored with it. It's
Right.
real easy for us to go, yeah, I just don't have any interest in it ananymore. Let's go on to something
Yeah.
else. Instead, this thing kept. It was like multiplying rabbits.
Yeah.
It was the fact
Yeah.
that it was suddenly like, oh my God, there's this tangent and this,
Hmm.
and then you would tell me offhand as we're writing the script, you'd say, Chipper, blah 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 blah, and this used to happen. I went, well, why is that not in the script?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, and this
kind of.
this is why, this was a different experience for me too, working with the director. And you and I are the type of friends who are constantly bouncing ideas off each other anyway. I got this idea for this new bit. What do you think about this? Have you seen something like this before? Does this work? Is this funny? Is it not? But with these stories, it's interesting. I think especially when you're working on a solo show, when it's something that is a story that you feel is uh, you want to honor the story by telling it in a right way. Sometimes we can be too precious with stuff that doesn't need to be in there. And then other times, like you were just mentioning, things that you think aren't, they're just so normal to you because that's your life.
You lived it, yeah, and you're
Yeah,
just like, oh,
but to have someone else be able to say, wait, talk
yeah,
more
back
about that.
up. Yeah, yeah, and I think the thing that works well with both of us is that uh, we're good at being okay with running with the good ideas and immediately throwing out the bad ideas.
Right, right.
The editing factor, and I love the fact that if we believe in something, we will fight for it
Yeah,
to convince the other one, and or vice versa, and I love that aspect of it. um, and I love directing it because then I can go in and say, okay, we're changing the dynamic here, we're going
right.
here. Yeah, if I hadn't been a performer, I would have more than likely written and directed, because I just that is an easy extension of me for some reason that
Yeah.
love. Our mutual friend Steve Valentine
Hmm.
had his show Life and Other Deceptions, and I got to do additional writing on his show,
Yeah.
which was autobiographical, and we did it was like a 6 or 8 week run. Every show sold out,
Wow.
and he has since done versions of it up in Canada and
Yeah.
touring of it. And yeah, it's a joy. I love directing him. And I don't, here's the other thing. I don't, I get a lot of people asking me to direct their shows.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because I have to then sometimes make excuses and I'm really busy. But the honest to goodness truth is it takes a lot for me to be excited about a concept of a show itself, the person behind it, the authenticity of it. There's far too many people that whip up a show and they just like you can feel that it's false. You can feel that it's removed from them and that there's not a sense of themselves organically in that show.
Yeah.
Also, people should be able to act. Also, people should be able to deliver. And I think one of the reasons you and I are drawn together as friends also is that professionally, we like how we perform on stage,
Right.
that we try to stay, even no matter whether it's joking or a very serious moment on stage. We're authentic. We're not pulling something fake into it because that doesn't feel good to us. It doesn't feel,
Right.
like that's who we are. We don't want to be. We don't want to make it feel like it's a con job. And I think
Right.
times there are magic acts out there that don't realize that they are performing what looks like a con.
Yeah.
They think this is what a performer should be. They think this is what magic should be. They think this is what their personality is on stage. And it's weird when you see them away from it going, dude, you are so far more interesting talking to you backstage in person.
Right.
Put that up on the stage.
Yes. I had someone recently say to me that they saw a show and they were like, wow, your storytelling. They're like, you're such a good actor. And I don't think I'm a terrible actor if I need to act. However,
Yeah,
the reason it feels real is I only tell real stories. You know what I mean?
right.
Like I will,
Also,
yeah,
yeah, we can do a glorified uh, version of ourselves, but still our personality
yeah,
is coming through it
right,
as opposed to going, oh, I'm going to play this character now. Here I go.
right,
Um, and I think that's the thing is people see that authenticity. And as you know, you get the backhanded compliments of, I don't like comedy, but you were funny. I don't like magic, but that was really great. It's like,
right,
thank you.
right, right.
We don't go up to audiences and go, I really don't like people watching me, but you're okay.
Yeah, I didn't mind it when you did.
Yeah, yeah.
And another thing that was interesting for me as we worked through this, and even like the first time doing it, was the fact that it's autobiographical, but there's a lot of stories about growing up in magic and being a magician, but there's no magic tricks in this story.
No,
And
exactly.
and
Yeah,
that was one thing that I kept kind of not pushing for, but I was like, well, okay, wait, when are we going to add the magic in? And you're like, oh yeah, we'll get to it. We just need, write the story first, right? And then at the end of it, we realized like, oh my goodness, like this story
yeah,
is better if it's
yeah,
not. And now here's a trick.
yeah. Well, and exactly. And I thank you for those conversations because I kept pushing for no magic.
Yeah.
And the reason is because I believed in you because you're a corporate speaker, a public speaker. Um, the way you present magic, no one's saying, "Hey, get to the trick."
Mm.
They're involved in the stories you tell in your magic shows
Right.
that are just as entertaining as the magic. It's not I'm filling something in and now here's the magic. Because in most cases, people are like, yeah, just get to the get to the confetti, get to the glitter, get to the bird, get to anything else. And so that's the thing is that I looked at this and the strength of what we were writing. I was like, oh, we have to respect it.
Yeah.
And by respecting it, we can't go, all right, let's go do this thing. It doesn't pertain to this story of this time in your life. But having said that, there are stories about you performing in magic that are hilarious and starting out with your magic career and other things that are great. And I think the other thing that's cool is that we tend to tell stories that even though we've got these unusual backgrounds, we're telling them in a way that everybody can relate to, because guess what? Everybody has a spouse, a family. They're trying to raise kids. They're trying to make a living. They're trying to make ends meet.
Right.
We
Yeah.
all can relate. All it is that it's a different occupation.
Yeah.
And I think that it speaks really well to that. And I knew watching it from the booth as it was happening. I mean, the very first five, let's say 30 seconds in, I was like, oh, this is going to be fine. Because there was a vibe from the beginning where we had worked it just right on how to start it off, that everyone was in tune with it and understood what was going to come. And so in my head, very cocky, I was like, they're gonna stand for this. They're gonna, I didn't tell you this, but I'm just back there like going, yeah, they're gonna, I can feel it. And sure enough, we get to the end, and there was this enthusiastic, applause and standing ovation and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this is great. But like I said, the greatest compliment was the guy who runs Dynasty Typewriter behind me saying to me, no, but seriously, like, where did you guys put this up before? And he had seen all the shows for years at not only Dynasty Typewriter, but also other theaters.
Yeah.
And, produced them, managed them, had the venue for, and so that was just like such a weird cool compliment with that. So, yeah.
And in this show, it's weird. These stories are not stories that I can tell in a corporate event or in my touring theater shows. They just, without the context, it would feel very weird. But in this special environment we've created, it's like, it's the best stories are the secrets. It's the ones that you're like a little bit nervous to tell, where you're really like, is he really going to tell that? And so all that to say, that was the very first time we did it, and this time coming up will be the second time that we've done it. So I'm very excited about people coming out and seeing this, and I just know it's gonna. Yeah, I'm excited to see. I don't know where it's gonna go when it's all said and done, but I do think that this story is gonna reach.
There's been interest, and I know that we will find a place to put it up. But this is how every show works.
Yeah.
Is that you spend, it percolates in our heads for years.
Yep.
You make little notes off to the side of what things might be included in that show, and then you get down to business, and then we start collaborating. Yeah. Thank goodness for Zoom.
Yeah.
Because we can be on two sides of the world, and we still are able to meet up and work on it, including in person, either at your place or at my house or, whatever. And it's a process that every show goes through, along with a lot of the other shows that are trying to work things out. Again, Dynasty Typewriter or other places like that. And this one, we're just like, wow, this has legs. People are talking about it. The amount of feedback we got afterwards, unsolicited, was fantastic. And that was not just from people we knew. This were from people we didn't even know. They were like, I just got to tell you, this, that was, when is it going to go up again? Because we have to tell our friends and our family, go see it and stuff. So yeah, I'm excited.
I'm glad you brought that up, Chipper, because it's coming up Tuesday, April 30th at Dynasty Typewriter in Los Angeles. You can get tickets at dynastytypewriter.com, or if you just go to taylorhughes.com, it's right there on the landing page. It will take you there.
And tickets are extremely reasonable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
This is a project that's near and dear to our hearts. So it's one of those where it's like, the audience is also part of the collaboration.
Right.
And we're gonna keep going with it. Yeah, it's great. Tuesday, not a Friday, Saturday. So Tuesday, it's I'm excited. I'm excited for all the new stuff that we have added over the last several months and tweaked and added in. It's great. Thank you so much for this. Thank you for living this life that had this thing that you went through that is just crazy Because a lot of it is people sitting there laughing at the same time going, oh my gosh, this is all real.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
which
Those
is,
realizations of like, oh wait, is that really what happened?
yeah. And then you slowly go, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the truth.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being a friend who walked me through a lot of that as we were kind of coming out of the aftermath, and who now, we're collaborating on this thing and telling the story in a unique way. It's a complete joy, Chip. Love you, buddy. And I'm excited to have you back on here when we've got your show coming up. We can talk all about that.
That will be coming up in September.
So
That's
soon.
that's all I'm going to say. But we have 4 shows already scheduled in September
Yeah.
in Brea, California, at the Curtis Theater. That's it. You'll learn more about it. But it's a very, just like this one, very personal show about life and family and my upbringing and all that good stuff. But thank you, man. It's looking forward to our continued collaborations on other projects because you're awesome. You're awesome,
buddy.
You should be very proud of this.
I'm cheersing you with my coffee. We're cheersing with water. I got water too. I always have 2 beverages. So
do I.
All right, Chip. I'm going to turn off the recording, but we'll keep talking. Friends, we'll see you at Dynasty Typewriter on April 30th. I've lived 2 lives as an adult. One of those lives as a professional magician, and the other pastor at an American megachurch, which I know is strange. One of those things involved a lot of secrets and deception, and the other involves card tricks.